Hello everyone, welcome to the Navigating Transitions speaker series, autumn speaker series, and we have in front of us for our conversation today, Navigating the Downsize and the Move. Introducing to our left, we have Leslie Raycraft from Posh Organizing. Front and center, Jade Labella, and to her left, my right, we have Heather Trimbola. Did I say that correctly?
Trimbola.
Thank you. Thanks for that. So we are having a nice conversation regarding the downsize. So Leslie is Posh Organizing. She owns one of the best downsizing companies around. She really provides personalized service along with our realtors from Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. So ladies, converse. Let us know how that goes when we start. What's 1, 2, and 3? Action. So Leslie, when we're talking about downsizing, you're coming in. Now I've done some work with you. I can attest to the fact that it is a lot of work to go into other people's homes and kind of direct them and give them direction on what stays, what goes. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, usually when someone calls, they're overwhelmed. They're thinking they might move. Perhaps they've reached out to a realtor, and I always tell them, even if you're thinking of moving in the next 5 years, reach out, start now. Start the process now, because people, they live in their homes, right? You see it all the time. They live in their homes for 30, 40, 50 years, and they have 50 years of stuff. And they're like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. So as I am a senior and specialty move manager, and so I can navigate that whole process for them. I'm like that project manager of the whole thing, right? So you start in the beginning and helping them really declutter their homes, and so it gets it ready for the realtors, right? So we declutter their homes, get it stage ready, where then you can do photographs. But all of the pieces of the process, when they identify a place that they want to move into, we do a floor plan to help them figure out what pieces in their homes are going to fit. And not only does it need to look beautiful, it needs to be functional, right? So we do that, and then we manage the move process, the whole moving process, helping them pack, manage the movers, and then unpack, and all those details in between. So it's a big job, and we can come in and just help them oversee the big project and getting the house ready for the realtors to sell.
So we are at the cottage at Litchfield Hills today having this conversation. So this is an assisted living and memory care community. And the basis right around kind of this conversation is about sort of the family coming together and helping the seniors downsize their home. So not necessarily, and it could be twofold, moving into maybe a condo or something like that. But let's talk about that for a second and what that looks like in the realtor's eyes.
So a lot of times, or the reason, I'm just going to pause for a second and say the reason we like to do the education and the outreach is because people don't know what they don't know, and then they get into the process and they realize that it's going to take more than a couple months to get their house to market. And it's going to be overwhelming. And the thing that we always, as realtors, we're coming in and we're saying, we want to educate you, we want to guide you through the process, and we're not there to make decisions for you. We're there to inform you so that you can make educated decisions. I think the biggest thing that we see with people when they go to sell their home is that they are very surprised with emotions and how emotionally they're going to respond to this process. I'm sure you see it day in and day out with how attached we get to belongings and things. And we always find it, let's pause, let's look at the pros and cons of every phase of this process and make a decision that's informed, not based on your emotion. And sometimes that's taking time.
Absolutely.
And well, I agree with all of that. There's no two situations that are the same. I find that sometimes people feel like, oh, my situation's very different. There's no way we're going to be able to do this. I don't even know where to begin. But honestly, it's like a puzzle piece. You just have to kind of just try to figure out, what are your goals? Where do you see yourself? Where do you think you're going to be comfortable, feel safe? And once you start identifying some of those things, a plan starts kind of folding into place. And then along with that plan, there's so many resources. You're not alone. You have support such as us. Also, we have a tremendous amount of other resources that can help you along the way too. So you have to just trust and find people who you connect with. And once you can do that, then you can lean on them and feel confident with your next stage and your next move.
So with that being said, it is such an emotional process for any stage that you're looking to purchase a home, move, just downsize in general. So as you all, as a group, realtors and downsizers, you really kind of are the same, but you work in partnership. So if you have a client that comes to Leslie, Jade, you come together as a team, what would be the first step as you meet with a new family? All right, and I think we'll use, because of where we are, we're going to use the assisted living and memory care journey as the topic. All right, so you're meeting with the sandwich kid. You're meeting with me. All right, and my parents are getting ready to move, and we're moving them from a 3,000 square foot home on the hill with everything that we ever grew up with. Okay, right? Where do we begin?
I tell you right there, the biggest thing is not to rush it, right? Because I've had kids come to me and they'll say, I need to move mom. Like, they meet me, I'll never forget this, January 31st, we need to move mom tomorrow. I'm like, are you kidding me? It was a 6,000 square foot home into a 900 square foot assisted living. And I'm like,
massive transition.
You can't do that. And it was so overwhelming, and the anxiety that this produced. And I always tell people, I go, you want to take your time. You want to be thoughtful with what you're taking, and do it while you can, right? That's a really big thing. We want to be able to make the decision of where we go. So while we still have the wherewithal, make those decisions while you can. And when kids are involved and they're like, oh, this is the best thing for mom and dad. Well, slow down. It may be the best thing for mom and dad, but we have to take it slowly, because it can be very detrimental. It can put you in the hospital, or worse. I mean, I've had that happen to a couple of my clients. And so you want to go slowly with this, so that it's not just, I'm here today and I'm there tomorrow, right? You want to be thoughtful of what is important. What do you want to bring? I always say, what is your legacy? What is it that you want to be remembered for? So what are the things that we want to be surrounded by? And if we do it too quickly, there becomes such the overwhelm that they're just like, oh my God, just get rid of it all. And you don't want that, because you're just like, down the road there's going to be regret. So you never want regret, and you want them to just take their time. This is a huge undertaking. And so take your time, work with those that can help you through that whole process.
And the benefit of bringing in someone like you, Leslie, in that initial process is huge, because, people go through their life saying, I can do this, and we can use those as personal examples. We know, that, oh, no, I've got this. And so 1 year goes by, 5 years go by, 10 years go by, and nobody's ever done it. So really the benefit of bringing in an organization like yours, Leslie, Posh Organizing, is to have that support system and know that there is somebody that is not your daughter, not your son, not your niece, nephew, whatever, bringing you through the process. Am I right?
No judgment.
Right. And nobody wanting to hold on to that trinket from 1952. Right.
Well, and I think avoiding these types of conversations that are difficult only makes it harder in the long run. And it's just putting off an inevitable. Some of the tips too that we like to share is, approach things with respect and patience, because it does allow others to feel like they have a voice and their voice is heard, and that they feel like they have control still in the situation.
So important.
It is important, I think, because that's part of this transition is hard, because they are starting to lose control. But if they can still be in the driver's seat with making some decisions and trying to navigate what the next steps are, then I think they will, feel confident
Yeah.
and feel like they have peace of mind in the whole situation.
Right.
Heather, so sorry, Jade. Heather, but you hit such a nail on the head with that in control, how our seniors just all of a sudden, maybe overnight or a day or something happens,
Yeah.
and they do just very quickly feel out of control.
Yeah.
Jade?
I was just gonna say, when we come in professionally, Heather and I are not transactional realtors. We are in it for the relationships. We stay in touch with our clients. We are not, this is what you're gonna sell it for, this is what you're gonna do, and then we come back later to take pictures. We are hand-holding through the process and guiding. And I think when you say what's the first thing that you do, is we come in, we listen. I mean, we talk about every home having a story, and it's your story. And what's that story that the home is gonna put out into the public, and what's the next story that's gonna be created in that home? So one of the biggest things that we do in the beginning is simply listening to your goals, understanding what's happened in that home, and then later on, after we've learned about the home and your story, we'll talk about the market and what we can do to market the home. But again, this is a piece of your story. This is a piece of your life. It's a huge chapter. So it's not something that we rush through. It's something that we want to guide you through so that you're ready.
Yes, it's support. Being a support system is key in this whole process.
And that is so important that we see all the time in my position of working with seniors on the other side, holding their hands and saying, it is about a big, gigantic hug that we are offering our clients, our friends that are going through this transition. And as the generations are coming through, people are starting to discover it's okay. I can leave my home that I've been in for 60 years. I can actually make that jump, right?
It just takes time.
Yeah.
Right.
It just takes time. It really does.
And I think your point on the preparation of you, especially Leslie, getting ahead of the game before they're actually going to sell is so important.
Oh, yeah.
Those steps, right?
Yeah, and I see it all the time. I so often realtors would recommend me, and the client's like, "Oh, I got this, and then
SOS.
Yes, I'll never forget. I was going to a networking event, and I'm all dressed up, and I get this client who the realtor has been telling her for months to call me. She's like, "No, I got this," and then she calls me, and she's like crying, and she's just like, "I just got through the photos," and I'm like, "Oh my God, had you called me, I would have told you that's the last thing we do." We want to start with the easy, right? Start with the easy. The sentimental, the hard stuff, we do that toward the end because we're building up that muscle of letting go. Letting go is hard, right? So we want to start with the easy stuff, and then we build that decluttering muscle, and then it gets easier as it goes. And in that process too, I always tell people, take the time. If we don't do anything and then it's too late and we have these houses filled with stuff, kids are just going to be like, I don't want to deal with it, and they're going to call, the junk guy to remove everything.
I hate seeing the dumpster arrive.
Yeah, and it's so sad. And I had a good friend whose dad moved up from the Carolinas, and at the day of the move, he just freaked out. He had all this anxiety, and he took everything. And she goes, it all went upstairs in the attic, right? Because he was living with them, and he had a big area of the house. All went in the attic. She goes, every night I go to bed, and I just feel the weight of his stuff. When he started to decline, she called the junk guy. She goes, every last piece of paper was taken. And I go, how sad, right? Because I know there was something, he had 3 grandkids. Was there not something that he really wanted to give them? And that's what I say when we do this, like, with your things, give it to the person now so they can enjoy it. You can see them enjoy it, right? And then if you feel good, they feel good, and it's not going to go in the landfill.
We have a lovely story
Yes.
that your grandmother had done.
So my grandmother did this. She downsized and she moved into an in-law apartment with my aunt, and then as she got older, she went through all of her belongings, and she was a QVC girl. Like, she loved all the stuff, right?
I love it.
I know,
But every Easter, I get to take out all of my decorations, and underneath several of the decorations are little notes that are handwritten by my grandmother.
Yeah.
And it's what it's from, what it means to her, and it will make me teary-eyed. Because every single holiday, I take that out, and I have a piece of her with me.
Yeah.
And I cherish that.
Yeah.
So I want other people to have that experience. Like, what it's about, because yes, it's another piece of thing. Did I need another piece of thing? No.
Yeah.
But it's
It's
a piece of
something
her
that
that I have still
Yeah.
now that she's gone. You know?
Well, that's a one way to also, we're talking to clients too.
Yeah.
It's like, it's important to you, but it also can now be important to others, and you're sharing it. And by like starting the process of decluttering, I also feel you start to get motivated on envisioning your next stage, because now you can kind of see the things now that after you filter through things, what you'll need in your next stage, what you require and what you want. And then it starts to kind of look fresh and exciting.
Yep.
But if you're just filled with just tremendous amount of stuff and weight, it almost becomes a weight bearing thing. So once you start to lift some of that off, this next phase is exciting and fun and adventurous.
You're looking toward the next chapter.
Next chapter.
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
to that point, the next. So beautiful story, Jade. We can relate with that, having the treasures that we want, you know, and I think this process also alleviates all the kids, because there's the other side of that when the kids come in and just want to go through everything, right? And then also that slows down the process. So there is a beautiful happy medium to have professionals like yourself come in and be partners and actually become family members with these people, with your clients, right? So as we wrap up this wonderful conversation, we will just take it to each one. Is there something that you want to leave this conversation with today? And we will be sure that everybody knows how to get a hold of everyone individually or as a team to carry on. Leslie?
Oh, geez, on the spot.
Well, that's
I
okay.
know.
Hey,
You know,
that's what it's all about.
There's so much more to talk about.
Yeah, there
There is
is.
a
So
lot.
I
There's
think
so
that,
much more.
so with that, we will take this to another conversation, but this was a great introductory to what a process, an organized emotional process of downsizing one's home and taking our journeys to the next,
Yeah.
right?
I think, you know, just that taking it slow, right? Taking it slow, having, and the one key thing I will say is by having someone outside, there's no judgment, right? And that's a big thing. Like when I go into homes, I've seen it where the kids be like, "Oh, grandma, you don't need that. That's crap, or that's whatever, or just gonna throw that away." And these are things, everything in someone's home, they brought it into their home because they loved it. It you know, there's something special about it that they brought it into their home. And so you have to give it respect. And so by having someone who is non-judgmental, because when, let's just say they want to get rid of something, no one's saying, "Well, why are you getting rid of it? I gave it to you," right? Or just get rid of that. So when you bring in the professionals, there's no judgment. We're Switzerland, right? And so it just makes the whole process, and I'll have family members tell me, "Oh my God, you know, my mother or my father, they're so hard." I'm like, no worries. When we come in, it's a different person, because there's just no baggage with me and that, you know, with us and the client. So it just makes that whole process easier, you know, easier for that client to let things go and say the things that they need to say, or get rid of the things that they need to get rid of. So.
Absolutely, agreed. Jade?
Yeah, well, I'd say when we do this presentation in a longer form, the thing that we like to end with is that you need a team of trusted advisors. You need people who you can have honest conversations, judgment-free conversations, and that you have that team behind you through every decision, and they're bringing you all the way to the finish line, whatever that goal looks like for you.
Absolutely.
And I would add to that I think all three of us would probably say that we build quite a relationship with our clients. And that's important. I think individually that's how we are as people, but it does help because we are there for, you know, anything they need, from, you know, advice, they have concerns, they know they can pick up a phone and they can call, they can text, and we will be there on the other end and answer their questions or ease their mind. So by being a support system that's caring, compassionate, patient, is key in this process, because it's not easy. It's emotional.
So thank you, Heather. That's actually a beautiful way to wrap this little short chat with compassion, non-judgment, support system, and ease, right? So ladies, thank you for joining us today on the Autumn Speaker Series hosted by the Cottage at Litchfield Hills. At this point in time, we will make sure that everybody knows how to get a hold of the three of you as a team. All right, and thanks so much, and we'll see you again soon. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.